want you, the listener. Yes, I want you, the listener, to press the like button, the subscribe button, but more importantly, comments that you liked or disliked the topic discussed. What would you like discussed? Because you, the listener, are who is important to me so that I can provide the value that you want and need.
This is part 2 of Respect and Expectations.
Yahoo! You never know what's going to come out of my mouth, do you?
I never do, brother. Joel, this is part 2 of Respect and Expectations with cleaning customers. I can only imagine how many owners right now are either rolling their eyes or banging their heads on the steering wheel. During part 1, we did what you juggle as an owner, dealing with turnover, and then entry-level employees.
Mm-hmm.
This time, we're going to deal with the last 3, which are why can't you keep staff? Why don't you pay your staff more, but don't bill me? And competing goals. Let's hit the first one.
Absolutely.
The customer comes to you, dear owner, and says, why am I seeing a new face in my place again? What's going on with you?
There are a plethora of answers for that one. In the cleaning industry, particularly when you own a building service contracting company, you typically have part-time employees. And it's considered hospitality and restaurants, food service, where there's high turnover. They're very entry-level positions. It's entry-level pay. Whatever your state or area has is set as a minimum wage. And when it comes to building service contractors, most of the wages are going to be set around minimum wage.
Okay.
When you have a client that wants a once-a-month cleaning, you are more than likely going to be paying somebody more than minimum wage. The problem is, how long are they going to sit around working 1 day a week?
Sure.
I have clients that tell me that they want, people to come in for 2 hours, 2 days a week. So sometimes even with other clients that I have, they may want somebody 2 days a week for 2 hours a week. Well, how do you hire someone for 2 hours that have to get to a job, have to get back from a job only twice a week? With that type of wage coming in, they can't afford a car. So they're probably taking the bus, a taxi, Uber, Lyft, anything like that.
So you know that from the business side, and our listener knows, you're bringing staff members in, you have to plug them into something and pay them something to stay.
In order to stay. And when you are only paying them a few dollars a week, they aren't going to stick around. Right. So that's part of the reason why can't you get people to work, or why is there high turnover?
So what's our potential fix for our listener?
If you can get enough smaller jobs that are all in a certain area of the city or the town that you're in, then you can start pairing up and have a person work at a couple of locations a day and working a 5-day work week. So that's one of the things. And while you're building the business, that may be why you have the turnover issues that you are having, because you can't get enough work initially.
Okay.
When clients are asking that may be one of the reasons. The other is there's a lot of changes. Again, somebody's working a part-time job. They're now offered a full-time job somewhere with benefits. They're going to leave when they have a better paying job and have additional things such as health care, dental care, maybe a retirement, vacation time, whatever it is. Those extra benefits are the draw for them, in addition to the higher pay and more hours.
Sure.
So it's anytime you have only part-time employees working, those positions are going to turn over more frequently than if you are able to afford full-time employees with some type of a benefit attached.
Now, there are employee benefits the employer can offer that don't necessarily cost them anything. We don't have time to go into those here, but that is something that I know that you've offered your frontline cleaners and that other companies offer theirs. So let's hold on that one. The next slap in the face from the end-use cleaning customer is, why don't you pay more, but don't bill me more?
Most janitorial contracts are between 70 and 90% of the cost of a contract is labor. When you put in a proposal, the client always wants to negotiate, saying that's too much. And they ask you to reduce your price by as little as even say 3%. But if your labor percentage is running on a higher rate of 90%, where's that 3% coming from? That's coming from your overhead costs that are fixed. Your profit margin, well, if you aren't producing profit, it's hard for you to stay in business because part of that profit is going to go into some drip buckets so that you are planning for the future for repairs on equipment, buying new equipment, scaling for new employees as you grow your company. So without profit, you can't grow a company.
It sounds like you're telling me that it's okay to say no.
It is very much okay to say no and explain why. Even laying it down with some clients, I've been almost like an open book and showed them these are what my costs are. You want to lower the turnover because you want people to make more money. Well, this is what I'm currently paying them. How much more do you want to pay them? And these are the costs that are going to change in direct relationship to the increase in what you want to pay that employee.
I know one of the topics that you have brought up to me with some of your smaller cleaning company customers. Oftentimes they find themselves up against a cleaning company that has no insurance. Now, the only reason they know is because they know who their competition is. But understanding that a reputable company simply cannot operate without either no or insufficient insurance. And for God's sake, do not file a fraudulent insurance certificate. If you are ever found, it will be the death of your business.
And you may be facing something a little bit more than just closing your business.
What advice would you offer them on that topic, Joel?
On the topic of not having insurance or competing against people with no insurance?
Competing against people with no insurance.
You let your client know that you are an insured entity and that if anything happens, that's part of the cost of doing business. It's not like you can't charge them for the insurance premium. You realize how much your insurance weight is for every client.
Okay. Last but not least, competing goals and responsibilities. This kind of goes back to the respect and expectation title. Every cleaning customer seems to think that when the janitorial staff leaves, the place will be utterly antiseptic,
with no problems, and that we are then responsible for the building even from the time that it's alarmed and locked until that first key is put in, and then even past that time.
Right. What advice do you give the cleaning company owner who needs to share what reality is?
It's a very delicate conversation. The larger clients that you go after, the less your margins are going to be. And you have to learn to work with smaller margins, but you have to understand that you're probably billing that customer a lot more than 10 of your clients combined. So when you're dealing with bigger clients, the margins are going to get tighter. You have to figure out how to work up to that. You don't want to start out with a huge client with very little margin because all you're going to be doing is chasing money. Larger clients also sometimes say, well, I'm going to only pay in 45 days or 60 days. Having those difficult conversations with the prospect, the potential customer, and explain to them the needs that you have as a business owner. Okay, I can't meet your 60. I'm not happy with 45. I'd prefer 30. I'll make 45 days work, but do your math first. Can you really? Just don't say it. You need to know where your numbers are. As well as when they say, well, we really like everything that you have as a company, but we want you to reduce your price across the board by 3%. Now, 3% does not sound like a lot of money until you realize the tight margins that you already work on. So that 3% may actually cut into your profit margin. It may cut into your operational costs. It might even cut into your overhead costs where you're not covering all your overhead. To have an honest heart-to-heart conversation with that prospect, let them know, well, this 3% decrease that I'm willing to match to get the work is going to also mean that there's going to be a reduction in, and you have to spell it out for them. Instead of 5 days a week on this, it might be 4 days a week. Well, we had an outside supervision coming in the form of an area management, and we were figuring an hour a day. Well, now we can only factor in a half hour a day.
So when the customer says, I am looking for a 3% reduction in this, you don't have to frame it as taking 3% out of my profit margin. I am going to find a way to eke out the 3% in services rendered so it's not coming out of my hide.
You're going to try to do that, yes. You probably are going to give away 1% of your profit margin.
Okay.
And you're going to have them accept that a perfect balance is a 1.5% each way. But it very rarely happens that way. So knowing where your ceiling is and knowing where your floor is in negotiating and not negotiating below your floor. Because if you negotiate below floor, you're going to be out of business.
And no one needs that. In staying with our theme of respect and expectations, it sounds to me like that first step is respecting yourself in your own business.
You have to do that in order to be able to be respected. You have to respect yourself.
It's a tough pill to swallow, Joel.
It is. It really is.
For the owner who is listening and you have found yourself here, we know it's hard. You are looking to build a business. You are looking to pay your staff. You are looking to grow. And it can be very disheartening when your customers say, I want, and don't really give a rat's backside about what you need. If you are looking for a way to grow your business and maintain a slice of your soul, contact Joel. he can show you how to do that. Joel, thank you.
You're welcome.